I've been a professional motorsport videographer for the last 7 years. Sorry, it's a bit loud because we're at the racetrack. But in those 7 years, I've been to a lot of racetracks, I've made a lot of video content, and I've also made a lot of mistakes. And through all of that time, all of that traveling, and all of those mistakes, I've learned a lot about making motorsport content. So today, I'm going to give you some of my favorite tips and tricks to take your motorsport and automotive videos to the next level. So let's get to it.
If you're new here, my name is Mark, and as I said in the intro, I'm a professional motorsport videographer. Over the past 7 years, I've been to over 50 racetracks and traveled all over the world filming car racing. I've worked with some incredible brands, some amazing drivers, and had some of the coolest experiences motorsport has to offer. This channel is all about sharing my experiences and expertise with both motorsports and videography enthusiasts alike. If that sounds good to you, be sure to hit the subscribe button.
Now we're going to start off our list with probably the simplest tip, but also probably the most important one, and that's all about smooth panning. Now what I mean when I say panning is matching the speed of the car as you follow it. If you don't perfectly match the speed of the car to your camera motion, it's not going to be sharp and perfectly in focus. Now some of the tips and tricks I can give you for getting smooth pans are really simple. So the first one is just going to have multiple points of contact on the camera. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have both hands on it and actually cradle it against our bodies and then just rotate at the hips. And that really helps us get a nice, smooth panning motion and the car tack sharp. Now I said rotating from the hips, that's super important. What I really try to do is rotate just from the hips like this. It all comes from the hips. Another option is to use a tripod, and it's best to get one with a fluid head. Now they can be a little bit expensive, so if you don't have a fluid head, you can still make do, but having that adjustable sort of fluid drag system really helps control the exact speed at which you can pan the camera on the tripod, and that just really helps, again, getting those tack sharp, smooth pans. And then finally, probably the least important thing is if you use a lens with image stabilization. This is obstacle steady shot on it, and I don't always have it on. I'm using it right now because I'm kind of doing these really quick pans, but a lot of the time I'll actually just turn that off because it's not necessary, but it can help you get a little bit more smooth motion, but most pros don't use it very often. So a quick recap, multiple points of contact, rotate at the hips, tripod if you want, image stabilization if you want, and then finally, I should say, just practice. It all comes with practice. Nailed it. Well, apologies for the noise from the generators and race car engines and everything else, but we are at a racetrack. But the next tip I want to talk to you guys about is not focusing on the cars. There is so much more that happens in car racing other than cars bombing around the racetrack. And that's why I spend a lot of time down in the pit lane telling the kind of human side of the story of motorsport. I always like to tell people that I don't really make, videos and films about car racing. I make videos and films about people that race cars. And that's the most interesting thing, I think, about the sport, is that there's people behind these machines. So I try to spend a lot of time getting shots of the crew members, shots of the engineers, shots of the drivers doing driver change, things like that. They're great cutaways to have in videos to remind people that there are, people, real human beings involved in doing this, rather than just showing shot after shot after shot of cars going around the racetrack, which is cool. Cars going around the racetrack is super cool. Let's not say that it isn't, but you really want to show all aspects of the race, and one of those things is focusing on the stuff that isn't race cars. Take your eyes off the track and start shooting some different things going on at the racetrack and tell the full story. So I'm back up at the top of a very rainy and gloomy Sonoma Raceway this morning to give you the next tip, which is all about scene setting. Something that I really like to do in my videos is include scenic shots of the local area that help really give an idea of where we are and what's happening, showing people something outside of just the racing paddock and the cars on track that really helps set the scene. In some of my recent pieces, like my stuff in Qatar, we went out into town and we filmed some old buildings. We went to the market. We shot a camel parade. Just all kinds of things to sort of show the the local area of Qatar and say, hey, look, we're in an exotic place. I also did this in Japan last year. I went around, I shot in Tokyo, I shot at some temples, just to say, hey, look, we're in Japan for this race. And it works really well, especially when you're doing an international championship. But even in a domestic series like this, GTA World Challenge America, you're still going to unique and interesting places all over the United States. Like you can go get some shots of the beautiful fog-covered hills in the background. You can get some shots of the sheep up there behind my rental car. The sheep actually move around. They actually have sheep here to keep the vegetation down. They keep the grass short, which is incredible. And I actually did go and shoot some of the sheep yesterday. I shot some of the beautiful yellow flowers that are here, just something to really help set the scene. Today, because it's pouring rain, I might go, shoot some puddles of water. I might get some shots of the guys working in the garage with the rain in the foreground, just some things to help show, hey, we're in California and it's raining, which is something that not a lot of people think of for a race in California. So think about adding some cinematic shots to your videos. It'll really help with your storytelling. Just down on the false grid now for the next GT World Challenge America race. And the next tip I want to give you guys is all about finding something unique. Now what I mean by that is every time that you go to the track or go to an event, try and get a shot that a lot of other people haven't already done. Try to find something new and something that separates you from everyone else. This week I've been playing with action cams a lot, been putting them in different parts of race cars around here. This Mustang GT3 team has allowed me to actually put a suction cup on the wing right here. You can't see it, it's just off camera down here, but there's a shot of it. I was actually gonna put one on the wheel, but then we decided we should probably have a second clamp if we're gonna do that. So we opted not to do the wheel thing. But it's all about just finding something unique and something different to try out. Another thing I did this weekend was use my gimbal a lot more. I actually use my gimbal in the garage. There's windows where you can see turn 11 from the end of the garage. So during a session, I went down there with my gimbal at 50mm and just did a little shot through the windows as the cars came through turn 11. And it looked really cool. You could see the tools and the toolboxes in the foreground. And it was just something a little different. And I'm really proud of that shot and I'm really happy with it. So every time you go out, try to find something new, something different, and just inspire yourself in a different way. I'm back now in the very exciting setting of the Sonoma Raceway Media Center to give you my final and what I honestly think is probably the most important tip for motorsport filmmaking, and that is just to remember your edit. And what I mean by that is just keep in mind constantly while you're at the racetrack what you are going to be creating. That's the most important thing. What is your end game? What is your video at the end going to look like? I found for years what I would do is I would have no plan. I would just come to the track and I would blast away and get cool shots. And my content wouldn't be nearly as good as I thought it was going to be because I didn't have a plan, right? So nowadays what I do is I plan well in advance with storyboarding, music, always choosing the music ahead of time. I'm a very musical person, so I have the music picked out ahead of time and then visualize what I want my edit to look like. And then when I'm trackside, just remind myself what the edit is and think about the exact shots that I need to get. And that's made me such a better filmmaker, and it's made me work faster and more efficient and make me a lot happier with the end product. The downside is sometimes things don't go the way that you plan. You always have to be able to adapt and pivot to new things because you think things are going to happen this way and then they don't because, we're shooting sports. We don't really have much control over what's happening. But if you go into it with a plan and just constantly be thinking about your edit, it'll really keep you on task and it'll get you shooting just the things you need to be shooting so you're not just blasting away, filming every car that comes past you and really overwhelmed by the amount of content that you have. Always just stay cognizant of what that final piece is going to look like, and if you do that, it'll really help bring your content to the next level. And like I said, it's probably the most important tip that I can give you. It's not super exciting, it's very simple, but it's very true. As per usual, we are now back in my office because I forgot to shoot an outro while I was at the racetrack. But those are my 5 tips and tricks for you to use in your motorsport and automotive filmmaking. Pretty simple, but I think all very effective and very important things to remember when you're trackside. So hopefully those things will help you out as you continue on your journey of being a motorsport or automotive videographer. If you thought I missed anything, please feel free to leave a comment down below, leave some of your favorite tips and tricks, and of course, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate each and every one of you. To all of my members, you can see right here, amazing that you folks have decided to give me, $1.99 of your hard-earned money. That means so much to me. I also want to say a big thank you to GT World Challenge America for letting me come out to Sonoma and to make this YouTube video while I was at the race. It was an amazing event, beautiful racetrack, so many people out for the autograph session on Saturday, and just so many people on the grid walk. It was amazing to see people, in that area supporting sports car racing. So hopefully I can get to another GT World Challenge America race soon. Again, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.